5:31 PI.
It is 7:36 a.m. Now, all eyes were on Parliament yesterday for Budget 2025, but there's another big event on the horizon. New Zealand's Youth Parliament returns this July, and for the first time ever, Pacific representation is at an all-time high. 15 Pacific Youth MPs and 3 Pacific Youth Press Gallery members will be taking part. Each week leading up to the event, we'll be spotlighting one of these rising Pacific voices. First up in our series is Youth MP Kaeata Kaitao this morning, and she joins us now. Popongi Mania, welcome to the show.
Popongi.
Good morning. Now, tell us a bit about yourself and what motivated you to become a youth MP.
My name is Kaeata Kaitao, and I am 17 years old. I'm a Cook Islander, and I am the youth MP for Te Aotearoa. I've always had an interest in politics, not just on a basis of how it affects me, but how it affects my community. And when this opportunity to become a youth MP popped up, I jumped for it. I've never wanted more to represent my people in that house.
Oh, I love that. And you talked about how important community is to you. How do you think your Pacific identity has shaped your journey and your aspirations?
I think it's made me who I am today in every single aspect. My culture and our cultural practices shape the way I look at things, the way I approach what having a seat at the table means. It reminds me how important it is to not take things for granted.
That's awesome. What are the key issues you're passionate about bringing to Youth Parliament, Kaeata?
I have a big care for Pacific education in particular. I think it's very important that we approach Pacific education as an ongoing issue. Overall, I'm looking out for Māoritanga and for young people as a whole.
Oh, I love it. Now, part of becoming a youth MP, there's some prep that goes into the role. Can you talk us through that?
Yes, so we've been running through online training sessions, both as a massive caucus and in particular breakout groups. I've gotten some great interactions with other youth MPs so far, so I'm really looking forward to the continuation of this process.
Yeah, and how do you feel about being picked to be the youth MP for Te Aotearoa?
Oh, it is massive. I've been a big fan of Tiano for almost as long as I can think. His activism work, his ability to speak up in the House, and the work he does on the ground are all really impressive.
Oh, that's good. And has there been a highlight or a key learning so far in this build-up to your youth parliament experience?
My biggest key learning is probably that young people know how to get things done. It's something I've always known, but it's great to see it in practice, and I'd really like to see it continue.
Nice. Now, with Budget 2025, we can't have missed it, it's just come out. Were there any parts that stood out to you?
Uh, I have to start by saying that we can't say the government isn't doing anything. Between social housing, classroom contributions, and food bank funding, there's no denying that they are doing their best. But we have to see that it isn't possibly benefiting Pacific people in Aotearoa as much as it could be.
Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking, gosh, some of the points around 16 and 17-year-olds KiwiSaver contributions starting. Are there some of these things that are of interest to you?
All of them, for sure. I see not just how they affect myself, but how they affect my friends. I worry for young people in particular, particularly dangerous household situations with the parental tests. Um, I think as time further goes on, we'll see how it continues to affect young people, and we'll see young people speaking up about what displeases them.
Yeah, I did want your thoughts on that because being 17, you're kind of right in the age bracket where they're saying if you have graduated from school and you're looking for financial support such as the emergency support or job seeker benefit, they're going to be looking at your parents' incomes. And you mentioned that that could be dangerous for some in our communities.
Yes, you can never guarantee, even in Pacific set community spaces, that young people have a safe home to go to or a supportive one. We have to acknowledge that young people might need this financial help because they have no parental support, and I feel it could cause triggering situations.
Yeah, it's
So I'd
interesting
like
because
to
money
see some work done
brings
about this.
Yes, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, money brings options, right? And money, and if you don't have money, you're stuck. So that's really interesting. And also on your age bracket, they were talking about money going into truancy and supporting at home, like for those that are just still finishing off school. What were your thoughts on that?
It's just overall a bit concerning that the only massive amounts of funding I've seen towards youth have been for negative aspects. Um, Sorry, I'm not sure what else to
No,
say.
no, that's a good point and a good observation. Um, any, this is like on the ground insights, but on why perhaps 17-year-olds might not be wanting to go to school and that truancy is an issue?
I think, just as far as I've seen as the head girl of my school, it's because education systems aren't catered for youth anymore. They're catered to push youth into a system that doesn't benefit them, and that can cause apathy towards any situation. What we need is for classrooms to be able to engage students in their own interests, to push them onto their own journeys instead of trying to push them straight into work.
That's a very interesting point, Kaeata. Which school are you head girl at? Give them a shout out.
Te Tuaroa or Tamatia High School.
Nice one. And just finally, and I think you've already touched on this, why do you think many young people may feel disconnected from politics and how can we change this? We need more people like yourself.
I think it starts with admitting that we aren't as separated from politics as we may think. You know, in situations we don't acknowledge that that house affects us. But during, for example, the Toitu Te Tiriti movement, I saw young people start posting infographics and photo essays of the march. I saw friends who struggled to speak up in class give speeches on the march. Um, and I saw, for once, rangatahi standing up for what mattered, as well as friends who worked on government submissions when they'd never before taken part in the parliamentary process. It was amazing to see, and I think we have to start saying this is what matters to us. Because for young people, um, we can't always say that they'll care about politics, but we know that they'll always care about people, right? About their own communities, and how that affects them is really important. We have to bridge that gap to make sure that they understand that this is the way that we help young people. This is the way we help our people.
No, I love it, is putting the people ahead of the politics and hitting at the heart of that social awareness. Hey, thank you so much, Kaeata, for joining us this morning. That was Kaeata Kaitao, Youth MP for the Green Party's Te Anau Tuiono. Plenty more still to come.